So, Castoris just got some interesting changes in the 4th beta, and honestly, it's looking like a solid buff, though not necessarily a game changer. But before we get into all the details, let's break down exactly what changed and what it means for her overall kit. Save up to 23% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description. First off, the 3rd trace has been completely reworked, and this is a big one. Previously, it gave Pollux more damage the lower the enemy's HP was, maxing out at 40% when the enemy's HP dropped below 30%. Now, that's gone. Instead, every time Pollux uses an enhanced skill, his damage increases by 30%, stacking up to 6 times until the end of the turn. Now, let's think about that for a second. Just using the skill 3 times already gets you a 90% boost. And if you manage to hit the full 6 stacks, that's a 180% increase. That's huge, and it makes a lot of sense because Pollux's burst is where most of the damage comes from. This shift means Castoris benefits a lot more from repeated skill usage rather than having to wait for an enemy's HP to drop. So yeah, this is definitely a buff, especially in longer fights where you can fully stack it up. And speaking of buffs, Pollux's normal skill got one too. The AoE damage went up from 24% of her HP to 40%. That might not sound like much, but considering how her kit scales, it adds up pretty quickly, especially against multiple enemies. Now, there's also a change to her first Eidolon. Now, if the enemy's HP is at 80% or lower, Pollux's damage gets a 120% boost, and if it drops to 50% or lower, that increase goes up to 140%. Compared to the original trace system, this makes Pollux way more threatening across a wider range of HP thresholds, instead of only when enemies are close to death. Oh, and let's not forget about her Light Cone. That also got a nice little buff. Its defense ignore effect got bumped from 24% to 30%. It's not a massive change, but every bit of extra defense ignore helps, especially when dealing with tougher enemies that stack a lot of defense. So overall, a nice quality of life improvement. Now, I know some people might still be looking at these changes and thinking, wait, didn't she get nerfed hard in the 3rd beta? And yeah, you're not wrong. There were some major percentage reductions before this. So while these buffs definitely help, they don't necessarily put her back to where she was originally. But that's just how balance adjustments work in these final beta phases. And speaking of balance adjustments, let's talk about Castoris's global passive, because yeah, it hasn't changed at all. If you were hoping that Hoyoverse would adjust or remove it, that's not happening. According to insider sources, they're not planning to remove it in the future, which suggests they see global passives as a core mechanic they're sticking with for now. Does that mean we'll see more characters with global passives in the future? Maybe. It's hard to say for sure, but the fact that they're standing by this decision probably means they don't think it's overpowered or game-breaking. Whether that's a good or bad thing really depends on your perspective. If you were waiting for confirmation before deciding whether to pull for her, well, this is it. The passive is staying, and Hoyoverse isn't changing course. Some players will be fine with that, while others might still be skeptical. But at the end of the day, these beta adjustments do show that they're at least willing to refine her kit, rather than just leave her as is. That said, we're still one beta away from the final version, so there's always a chance for more tweaks. But as it stands right now, Castoris looks to be in a better position than she was in the last beta. Let me know what you think. Are these buffs enough to make you consider pulling for her, or are you still on the fence? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. Save up to 23% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description.